I never thought a single envelope could destroy everything my family had built for generations. Yet here I am, sitting in what used to be my grandfather's study, surrounded by dust-covered ledgers and broken memories, trying to make sense of how one anonymous letter tore through our lives like a storm. My name is Ethan, and I come from what used to be a wealthy family. My grandfather, Richard Beaumont, was the patriarch of a business empire: real estate, manufacturing, even a small vineyard in California. To outsiders, we looked picture perfect: the Sunday brunches, the matching Christmas sweaters, the photos of smiling faces in glossy magazines. But behind the walls of the Beaumont estate, secrets were the foundation we stood on. And when that foundation cracked, everything we pretended to be came crashing down. It all began 2 months after my grandfather's funeral. He was the kind of man who controlled everything, even from beyond the grave. His will was read in his oak-paneled office, the air thick with tension. My father, William, sat at the head of the table, trying to look confident. But I could see the tremor in his hand. My Aunt Margaret, the family's self-proclaimed moral compass, clutched her rosary beads like she was at a confessional. And then there was me, the quiet one, the black sheep who had moved out years ago to escape the drama. When the lawyer began reading, I could feel the greed in the room rise like heat. Grandpa had left specific, detailed instructions. The company was to be split evenly between my father and Margaret. The vineyard would go to my cousin Olivia, and I would inherit a modest trust fund, nothing compared to what the rest of them received. But I didn't care. I'd always valued peace over power. What none of us knew, though, was that the real inheritance, the secret fortune, hadn't been mentioned yet. A week later, an unmarked envelope appeared on the doorstep of my apartment. No return address, just my name typed neatly across the front. I tore it open without thinking. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed on an old typewriter. The message was short, but chilling. The fortune you think you own isn't yours. Look deeper. Start with the vineyard. At first, I thought it was some kind of cruel prank. But something about the paper, the smell of old ink, the faint watermark of the Beaumont family crest, made my stomach twist. I decided to visit the vineyard the next day. The vineyard had always been my favorite place growing up. It was peaceful, far from the noise of the mansion. When I arrived, Olivia greeted me with suspicion. "What are you doing here, Ethan? Dad told me you didn't want anything to do with the business." I showed her the letter. Her face drained of color. "Who sent this?" she whispered. I shook my head. No clue. But it says we should start here. We searched the office of the vineyard manager, going through dusty ledgers and forgotten boxes. That's when we found it. A second envelope, hidden behind a framed picture of my grandfather. Inside were copies of old transaction records, all under fake company names. Millions of dollars had been siphoned off from the family business for decades, into offshore accounts linked to someone with the initials MB. My heart pounded. MB, Margaret Beaumont, my aunt, the family's so-called saint. I wanted to confront her immediately, but Olivia stopped me. "If this is true, we need proof, real proof," she said. So, for the next week, we quietly gathered documents, bank statements, and even old emails from my grandfather's archives. The deeper we dug, the darker it got. Margaret had been funneling money through shell companies for years, and Grandpa had known. But instead of exposing her, he'd helped her cover it up. The question was why. One night, while I was scanning old letters in my grandfather's desk, I found a small locked drawer. The key was hidden beneath the desk lining, exactly where Grandpa used to keep his cigars. Inside the drawer was a faded envelope addressed to "Whoever finds the truth." I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a confession. My grandfather's handwriting, shaky and uneven. He admitted that Margaret wasn't his biological daughter. She was the child of an affair my grandmother had. But he had raised her as his own to protect the family name. To keep the scandal buried, he'd set up fake companies in her name and moved money through them to give her a false inheritance, one that would never appear in legal documents. But over time, Margaret realized she could use that system for herself. She'd continued embezzling long after Grandpa's death. The truth was finally out, and our family would never be the same. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you next time. I couldn't believe it. The woman who had lectured everyone about integrity, who'd called me selfish for not being more loyal to the family, was the biggest fraud of us all. And Grandpa, the man I had admired my whole life, had built our fortune on a complete lie. That night, my mind was racing. I couldn't just sit on this. I sent copies of everything to the lawyer who handled Grandpa's estate. Look, I didn't want revenge, not really. I just wanted the truth to finally come out. But I had no idea how explosive that truth would be. The very next morning, the lawyer called an emergency meeting. When I walked into the estate, my father and Margaret were already in a full-blown shouting match. The lawyer calmly placed the envelope and documents I'd sent on the grand mahogany table. "These records," he said, his voice grave, "suggest decades of financial misconduct, and the legitimacy of the entire Beaumont estate may now be in question." Margaret's face went bone white. "This is absurd. Where did you get this?" she stammered. I just looked her straight in the eyes. "You know exactly where." She pointed a trembling finger at me. "You did this. You're trying to destroy us." I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. The proof was right there on the table. Within hours, the dam broke. Someone, probably from the law firm, leaked the story to the press. Suddenly, it was everywhere. Beaumont family under investigation for fraud and inheritance scandal. Our name, our reputation, was ruined overnight. The life we knew was gone. My father called me, begging me to help fix things. "Ethan, you don't understand," he pleaded. "Your grandfather's legacy is at stake." I was just so tired of it all. "No, Dad," I told him. "His secrets are at stake. The legacy was already gone." The investigation dragged on for what felt like an eternity. The authorities froze all our family's accounts. The vineyard, our pride and joy, was seized as evidence. Margaret tried to flee the country, but they caught her at the airport. She confessed to everything: the fake companies, the offshore accounts, the years of manipulation. But what truly stunned everyone was her motive. During her confession, she said something that still haunts me. "I never wanted the money. I just wanted to belong." After that, everything just fell apart. My father lost his position in the company. Olivia moved away, too ashamed to be associated with the scandal. The grand family mansion was sold off to pay the mountain of legal debts. And me? I walked away with nothing but a box of papers, the truth, and a very heavy heart. Months later, I received another envelope in the mail. Just like the first one, no return address. Inside was a single photo. It was my grandfather, smiling, holding a newborn baby. On the back, someone had written, "Some secrets were meant to protect, not destroy." To this day, I still don't know who sent that first letter. Was it someone from the law firm? A disgruntled family friend? Maybe Grandpa himself arranged for it before he died, wanting the truth to finally surface when the time was right. I'll probably never know for sure. But that anonymous letter forced me to see my family for who they really were. Flawed, scared, and desperate to hold on to an illusion of wealth and power. It taught me that sometimes the real inheritance isn't money or property. It's the truth, and the truth, as painful as it is the only thing that truly lasts. A year later, I bought a small, modest cabin near the old vineyard. The government eventually auctioned off the land, and because of the scandal, no one wanted it. I planted a few vines again, just for myself this time. I don't run a business anymore. I don't chase fortunes or legacies. I just live quietly, watching the sunrise over the hills, and wondering how one mysterious letter managed to change absolutely everything. And sometimes, when the wind blows just right through the grapevines, I swear I can hear my grandfather's voice whispering. Not words of apology, but something softer, almost peaceful, like he finally understood what his secrets had cost us all. In those moments, I smile to myself and whisper back, "I forgive you." Because in the end, that anonymous letter didn't just unravel our fortune, it set me free. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If it resonated with you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. I'll see you in the next one.